Okay, we have two racers.
Okay. So I was gonna do the profit, but I can talk about them. So, oh, I have to just mute. 1 second. Okay. So we have Polari in the left, who has joined since. I have to grab something with text slightly bigger. Okay, who joined us in MT6 and finished in 17th and got a best placement of 4th during MT13 and has a pretty good 58% of win rate. Also, I don't know if it's me personally, but I do remember Polari from that amazing Nest medley that we got in MT13, 14, something like that, which was a great sub.
We played it this year too. My brother played it actually.
Oh, nice.
Everybody got stuck in hockey. Good morning, guys. I didn't have my headphones plugged in, so sorry about that.
Hello, Pound Noobed.
Good morning. Or for you, not morning, but good morning, Internet Dirigible. I jumped in because I can't let ID talk too much. He's still recovering.
That's
Uh,
very true. Although less pain and more just like a lot of throat clearing now.
Best to you.
This game is all black, so hopefully this crop went okay. We'll see what happens when the game starts up.
So, real quick, though, and on the right, we have a newcomer, Quartz Q. I do believe they've played 2 matches already.
Yes.
So let's check. Yeah, Polari faced Crank Dud on his first match, while Quartz Q faced Bohemico. He won that match, and then he lost again Yugario in Winners 2.
Yeah, so
So,
Polari was one of, I think, like 3 of the seeded people. We had quite a few, like 20 seeded people who's lost, but the loss to Crank Dud is more than fine. Like, Crank Dud not being seeded is almost insulting to Crank Dud. He's just one of those people that definitely is a contender for a seed every year. Same thing with Quartz losing to Jug Ariel. The performance that we saw from Jug on Dharma Dojo was very impressive. It would have beaten basically most players, most racers.
We're going to keep setting up a little bit because the way this game has an infinite live sheet and the way that the pastebin writes it is kind of weird. So I think we're gonna set it up a different way. I gotta mute for a minute while I type a lot.
Good chat. Good morning, chat. What are you on about? No, this is not Winners 3 or Winners 2. This will be Losers 2?
that checks out.
Yeah, we've had
So,
a few upsets, and not all of those upsets were to as known entities as someone like Crank Dud. And we'll continue to see more upsets. I'm excited. I think Polari is kind of like one of those people that you have to beat when you get into a tournament like this. Like if you're the anime protagonist, Polari is you're gonna beat them 100% of the time. But if you're not the anime protagonist, Polari is going to just be better than you, because Polari is very good at video games.
that sounds fair, but it's always somewhat scary or like unpredictable with these new players because we don't know what they are good at. So we could very well see an upset here.
Yeah, let's see. Yes, this is Losers 2, and then they don't have a future opponent, but it's not going to get any easier. Whoever wins this will play either Zex or Jal, so this tournament gets hard so quickly. And it's not like it doesn't even mean like you can have a winners 1 match and it could be 2 killers, but we just don't know them by name. We have recently or previously because of things like the Kuso Grande, where we've seen people like someone or a commie of games show up, and we can, beyond their gameplay just being incredible, we've also heard of them, seen them in other tournaments. Quartz I don't know much about, and from what I've seen, I think they are still going to be the underdog. I haven't seen anything like truly spectacular, but it depends on the genre. We've only seen them play 2 races, 3 races.
Yeah, that's fair. Meanwhile, Polari, as you said, is really well known in the community and is a really good player. So this is going to be a tough race for Quartz, the newcomer.
And while we're not gonna spoil the game, we have given out the information there is gonna be the Infinite Continues, which I think does tell you something about the sort of genre of what we're looking at, the sort of age of the game too. Actually, it looks like they're about to get started here shortly. I knew about Mystery Tournament and Mystery Funhouse for a long time before I joined, and it's these sort of conversations that are happening about technical back level stuff that spooks me. I think it's just tick a box somewhere, but you have to go find the box, and it shouldn't be that hard, but it all intimidates me.
Yeah, also from what I can tell, one of the racers is using a different emulator, so that could cause some issues. But looks like they are good to go.
Yeah.
AD
Polari
has
knows what
not-
he's doing though. Sorry
We're
about that.
getting the ads on the stream. Has that been typical, or do you need to renew your?
I don't know. It doesn't normally do that, but at the same time, it's like way less invasive than it was before. So who knows? We're playing Monster in My Pocket.
Playing the vampire because it's notably cooler and not faster at all.
Yeah, you always want to lock character choice when you can.
Yeah, but just look at the 2 character choices that we have. We have the blue vampire and like the incredibly drab Frankenstein's monster. I do not want to have 20 minutes discussion about Frankenstein versus Frankenstein's monster.
That shouldn't be that long. I mean, there's one right answer.
Vampire is much cooler.
But here we are.
Oh, that lore looked really cool.
Wait, is that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles title, but with monster?
Yeah, 100%.
So this is a toy in the US at least. This was like a popular toy at the time.
Monster in My Pocket just sounds like the American version of Pokemon, like Pocket Monsters.
Not getting sound from either of them. We may just have to rainwave this one.
I'm getting some Castlevania-ish vibes from this game, except really close quarters.
So it looks like it's starting out pretty simple. A crop. Polari's input display out, but we do see that they're not cheating. That's the important thing.
Goodness, White Panther noting this property is the reason Pokemon had to be abbreviated. That's funny, because this is nothing like Pokemon as far as I can tell.
Oh, really? That is funny.
Okay, looks like Polari's in the lead, and you can tell because I'm gonna call it a mini boss, but it could be a boss.
It could be a boss. I think that this was marked early rounds only. Losers 2 is still technically an early round, but Polari is a strong player, so we'll have to see how this goes.
We just gonna slap this guy? Do we have any other ability, or are these racers just realizing that slap is really good?
Well, let's check the pace.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I personally tested this one or
You
not.
can pick and throw objects, and otherwise you simply attack. So I guess you do have another attack, but I didn't see anything that could be picked in that boss room, so maybe not.
It's the classic vampire where, sure, you could bite them, but why would you do that when you can just punch them?
Oh, the double jump. It's in the pace bin, but I haven't seen any player use it unless I haven't been paying attention. We had a fun race of jumping flash where the people didn't know that there was a triple jump.
Oh
We're in
no.
the bathroom or maybe the kitchen. Nope, the kitchen.
No, that's the kitchen. But yeah, now Quartz just beat the boss, so he isn't that far behind. He's one section of a stage behind Polari right now.
Yeah, when you have these matchups versus known entity veteran versus new player, the veteran is often going to accelerate through the race quicker. They're just usually more confident. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the newer player won't be able to keep up pace in a second or even be faster when you get to like the bosses and whatnot. But Polari doing more or less what I expected, which is just being a bit more confident with the platforming, a bit more confident with dealing with the enemies, and
Oh no, got frozen in the
taking
fridge.
the early lead.
I also feel like Polari is playing more carefully, like he's taking the time to kill all enemies that are in his way and that kind of stuff, and so he is having less trouble with the stage itself, while
Yeah.
Quartz is getting hit quite a lot.
Yeah, the match that Polari had, and his only match, was against Crankdud, and was always going to be a killer match because those are just two very good players. But it was on Chuman Fu, and that was the exact difference in style that we saw in a very different game. Like, that was an arcade style game, where Polari was being more methodical, took a strong early lead just because they weren't dying when Crankdud was dying. And the difference of it, Polari, I think, argued with me that it was that he stopped being as methodical. But my take on it was that when the game gets quite hard, uh, either methodical or non-methodical play, you're just gonna die sometimes. And Polari's gameplay was slightly slower because he was being slightly more careful.
Hmm.
I think for this game, where I mean, with the inside knowledge, the racers won't know this, but that this is early rounds only. I think you generally want to approach it pretty aggressively, just kind of run through it if you could.
Yeah, and I think Polari likes Mega Man, at least according to their profile picture. They've had Airman for a long time, so at least has some enjoyment for Mega Man. And this is, not a jump and shoot, but a jump and slash, recognize boss patterns, jump over stuff.
Okay, at first I was thinking more Castlevania than Mega Man, but since you have air control, yeah, I have to agree, this is way more Mega Man than Castlevania.
You have a double jump even.
Another continue.
My guess,
another
based
light
on the
jump.
way this looks, is that this is a really late NES game. This is probably like 1990 or something.
Okay, that's a game over from Quartz. We have infinite continues, but that's going to be a lot of time loss.
Yeah,
I think
that's
we have
back to
go,
the beginning of the stage.
all the way back to the beginning of the stage.
When you
The
die, you
game's
just
also
come back right where you were, but where you game over, you go back to the beginning of the stage.
it also looks like this game's using like P equals 1 is your last life. Sometimes you see like you get the 0 life because it's just a life counter, not you know what I mean. There's a
My
game over
instincts were
Polari
right,
too.
but it's even later than I thought. 1992. That was after the SNES was already out. And you could have gone to the store and bought Monster in My Pocket for the NES. At first I was thinking this was the Howie Mandel movie. That's Little Monsters. That's different. I don't know if there's ever
Did
been a
things
movie on
before
Monsters
Deal or
in My
No
Pocket.
Deal?
Say what?
Howie Mandel did things before Deal or No Deal.
Oh yeah, yeah. He was a
Did he?
comedian. Did you ever seen Bobby's World?
Did he ever have hair?
Yeah, yeah. He had big 80s like curly perm hair.
Ooh.
Wait, but Bobby's World is a cartoon, right?
Yeah, but that was Howie Mandel made that show and was the person who. Yeah, I don't think he's very funny either. But
Was he one of those? Was he one of those guys that would just show up in Hollywood squares until somebody decided to give him Deal or No Deal?
No,
Which,
you know, he wasn't famous enough to be on Hollywood Squares, and that really tells you something.
oh jeez.
He did like prop comedy, like Carrot Top.
Yeah, who was on Hollywood squares, which tells you something
Yes.
about the quality of Hollywood squares. Okay, so Quartz has gone into the fridge boss and didn't really take much chip damage on the second run through the kitchen. So I think they should be able to clear this if they use the skills they learned from the first visit. And yeah, this looks very clean. They double jump, hit him in the back, doing it. This is kind of perfect. I wonder if you can hit him twice, but
Am I
beyond
right that
that-
Polari is redoing this stage? Has died on.
Yeah,
Yes, okay.
we saw this boss, but we were on like last hit, last life.
Got it. Yeah, no health bars is always lame. You know,
I think
it's a
it's
game
like-
choice, and you could certainly say, well, there's some intrigue and when you have no health bar, but I think that's just nice information to give to the player. I think boss health bars
For
are
the boss,
nice.
presumably. This guy, I think the pastebin specifically says, the third boss, is just very healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be stubborn with it.
The nice thing is that he's not very dangerous. So Polari has some, you know, it's a race, so you gotta be careful, but has a little bit of time to experiment and say, can I hit from here? Am I just gonna wait till he goes down and just come in then? Since they're on one, I think that's just what they're gonna do.
I'm curious if this game will ever have enemies that do more than 1 damage. Or if they just get
When you only
harder.
have 5, that'd be a lot. What console?
Yeah.
This is NES. I know it does look a little weird for an NES game. It's just kind of the way that the sprite outlines are. It's a little strange. It's also really late in the NES library.
What is this guy meant to be, by the way? Like a Cthulhu like sea monster, or they're in the sewers.
Oh, there we go.
Good job, Larry.
Sea monster dead.
Yeah, Quartz is gonna be behind because that's a good clear from Polari, but Quartz can get a lot of time back if they can one-shot this boss that took Polari to 2 visits. Or
One thing-
Look at
Hear-
these little
hear me out.
dudes.
Get
Polari, these enemies are
destroyed by
crazy.
these- Oh wow, both sides are just being dropped upon. It's very funny.
One thing that the pastebin mentions is that you get an extra life at 2000 points. However, those dudes were given like 10 points. So farming for lives wasn't really a good strategy there if that's what Quartz was going for.
Well, I think they were taking more damage than they were ever possibly getting from points or lives. Okay, these fish. This is the sort of thing when you guys try and hand me a nest platformer and you give me a tiny platform and you give me 3 enemies and I have to use the 3 buttons that you've given me, and one of them's just movement, and all got lag. And pure sympathy to Quartz there. The sort of thing that I just can't stand about.
I will say this game
Oh,
looks like
man.
it controls pretty responsively, and you have a
It does,
double
but-
jump, which is a lot in an NES game. Oh. Polari sent into the abyss. It's unfortunate. Wasn't too far into this level, though. Unfortunately, has to do that little auto-scrollery bit again, but... And the infinite continues in this game likely isn't going to affect the performance. I don't think we really expected them to run out of continues, kind of like Fireman, but it's just the kind of thing where, like, you don't want to redo the whole game.
Okay, Quartz more or less in the same spot that Polari was. Just this one life, but a full health bar. And doing well to get the punches in when the monster is going down. I don't know why I talk.
Quartz did also try to get a few early hits, but then he started getting hit, and so now he's only going for those hits when the boss is going down, which are much safer.
Oh no! Polari walked into the pit. You don't want to go down there. Oh. Has the double jump. I feel like might have been able to recover from that, but... Oh, jeez, Polari. No. Oh, that's rough. Got Ninja
With
Gaiden.
Quartz, don't want to jinx it further, but I think Quartz is gonna finish this off. Okay, maybe I jinxed it. Every time I mention Quartz, he takes one more damage, and it scares me. I think this is gotta be it, though. This is like 1 or 2 final cycles. We've talked a lot about what Sokoban is. Does this consider as an auto-scroller when you're on
Yeah.
a thing, but the level won't continue?
It is weird that
Oh,
it can
no.
stop, but I would say it's an auto-scroller because the screen scroll is fixed. But luckily
But
it's
I
just
mean-
a small segment of this level. It does make it annoying to get back to the section that's so difficult, though.
You can leave the auto-scroller at that one part, so it kind I don't know if this is an auto-scroller, but also it mostly is.
Polari needs to get right up in these guys' faces, so if he does get hit, he doesn't get knocked off the edge. Taking a bit of a risk, but I guess if you kill him fast, it's the same deal.
We also don't know how much knockback you get from getting hit, so maybe Polari knows about the double jump, but isn't able to recover from the stun or whatever in time to do the second jump.
Yeah, I would think that would be a lot of an NES game.
Important decision here for Quartz, and they might not necessarily know it's a decision. You can take an intentional death here with only 1 life.
True.
Because I don't think, based on what you've seen with the previous bosses, that you're gonna get through the whole level with just 1 life. Does not look like Quartz is trying to pursue it, perhaps because they're close to that 2,000 point threshold that's been mentioned, and a second life would do a big deal. Polari, in the meantime, has actually gotten 4 lives. They have more lives than you start off with.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Look at how fast this elevator's going. One of the
Well, we're
fastest
tiny.
elevators I've ever seen in a video game.
It's a regular elevator, but we're very small.
I guess that would make it look faster.
Yeah, Veritor asking, we have infinite continues, but when they respawn with 3 lives, so P equals 3.
But also, if you just have a normal death, you just respawn right where you were. So when the continue happens is important.
Also, that's the last life. P1 is the last life, there's no P0.
Polari got the extra life mentioned in the pace bin, so P equals 4 for this boss. I can't imagine that they're not making it through.
Quartz, I think it might honestly be a blessing in the end, but just was at 1975. If they had killed 1 or 2 more enemies, they would have gotten an extra life, which I don't think they would have necessarily been able to finish this level.
Mm.
They did get some good scouting though, and the way that this game is played, at least with these racers, like the second visit through a level has been so much easier for them than the first visit. Stage 5, that's our final stage. And I think Polari might get another life. The enemies are giving like 20 or 30 now, and Polari's being methodical with killing them, which means I think Polari might be able to actually one-shot this, which would just completely give
when's
Quartz
the next
a
life?
chance.
2000, it said?
2000, yeah. And while Polari's taking damage, I think that's kind of
Oh,
not inevitable. Oh, I think you just missed a double jump there.
yeah, you must only be able to do it on the way up. Some games are like that. They shouldn't be, but they are. Oh man, the barbed wire. Looking pretty gritty all of a sudden.
Like Toy Story vibes, where Toy Story is a nice, pleasant game and universe, and then you go over to Sid's house and it's just full of barbed wire and monstrosities.
It's true.
You go, Pixar, what were you possibly thinking?
I'm pretty impressed with like the shading on everything and stuff though. I mean, it really does feel like a real environment. All right. Polari is done, having to restart stage 5. We know it's probably not super dangerous for them, but that's got to be a little bit concerning at this point.
Like 35 points. Quartz is 25 points from getting that extra life. If the racers are stressed, it's one of those things where it's just a big middle finger. You're being given the bird by the game that you didn't get an extra life, even if I don't think that Polari would have been able to get through the level and beat a boss on just one life, given that what we've seen from this level. But
it's true. There's no
Polari's
way to know
probably...
how long the stage is either. You know, you don't want to push it too hard. That's an unfortunate death, though. Probably could have avoided that by going a little slower. Not
Yeah, these
gonna
double
die
jumps.
to the pits here this time, though.
Good stuff. There we go. Yes, I always love that. Like barbed wire, not that threatening. Just jump. Pits,
Yeah,
incredibly
pick up the
threatening.
screw.
We'll ruin your life.
That's the first thing I think either racer has picked up this whole race. Threw it, didn't even hit an enemy with it. Doesn't seem worth it.
Some guys, the little tiki monsters.
I don't know what those things are.
Oh, they've got garlic on them. That's cute. I think that's they're holding like a garlic belt, and we're vampires, so we don't like that.
Yeah, so I don't think this is a like Japanese like franchise or anything, but it is Konami developed this game. Licensed it out to them. Oh! Crazy scrolling.
Getting Megalovania vibes now. I think there's, well, like, Polari is just not going to be able to beat this. I think there's a good incentive to just try and get as far as you can at this point, because I think we're probably close to the boss. If that wasn't
Zero
already
not
the boss.
counting is like pretty big deal in this game.
Another 1965, and that's a high score. That wasn't that round.
One interesting thing that I don't know what's the best play, but on stage 5 there is a pit right at the start of the stage. So since Polari took an early death on his last attempt, he could have just jumped into the pit to do a game over and restart the stage with 3 lives. Should he do that? I don't know. There's arguments for and against, but it's a possibility.
Polari is not getting hit by these green guys, and before got hit by all the green guys. So, yeah, you just have to stop and let them kind of fly into you. But that's slow, so Polari wasn't doing that the first time. Quartz is past the pit knockers, as we call them. and just has to go up here, do the elevator section, and then the boss. 3 full lives, full health. Things are looking good, I think, for Quartz to finish this stage.
I'm using this attack. They're doing some really cool sliding stuff, and I wish we could.
Okay, Polari is just like, well... So these guys move like boos. They chase you when you look away from them. Man, getting to this screen with 4 is good. This is way ahead of where Polari was before.
Yep, I think Polari was at 1 at this point. Now 3, but
Full health 3 though, so I mean, you know,
Yeah.
could be worse for sure. I don't know if you'll get 2,000 in only a single stage. I'm thinking probably not. So this is probably the only extent we're gonna see. Here you gotta be weird. Yeah. Nice. Okay, because these columns are super foreground blocking. And before, Polari was just like standing in there and getting hit by something that he couldn't see. So going back a little bit to change the scrolling, it seems good.
I like that the attack blocks the ranged bones.
That's good. These guys are pretty much not dangerous at all then, unless you walk right into them because you can't see them.
Quartz just got to the stage 4 boss with 3 lives, so this is looking good for him.
Probably.
Levels feels so long for Polari.
That's a
compared to the
lot
other
of damage racing. So I can't imagine dying at this point. Like, gaming over, but, you know, stranger things have happened. The hook does do damage, but you can run into it, get iframes, and then just, like, have at it. Ooh, we've got some sort of spooky ghost on Polari. It looks
are we
like
playing?
it's...
There's 5 ghosts, but you have to figure out which one's the real one game.
Looks
Yeah.
like it, but I don't know if I see any indicator.
It's the one that shoots you. I figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, that's after. Alright, this isn't so bad.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing much damage just because there's only the one attack. It's not like all 5 are attacking very
Yeah.
rudely.
And it looks like from most angles, the upper angle ones are kind of hard, but left, right, and up, Polari's definitely going to be able to dodge those. Oh, that freezes you, though. So that does... Well, I guess
Not
it's just
like
as
it
a
did damage.
guaranteed hit.
Yeah, the only damage possible is if it then runs through you, because that's even
It does
friendlier
mean
for
that
Polari.
you don't do any hits, though, when you get frozen, which is no good.
Yeah. But as commentators, we know that if Polari can just get through this, they're going to win the race. This is going to be the final boss, presumably.
It's true. Well, they know that,
Quartz?
too, because it's beat stage 5.
Yeah, but if Quartz was on the same boss and you're getting frozen, it'd be
Oh, yeah.
very intense. 5 hits remaining for Polari. The
This is
Ghost
actually a
probably
little
has about the same.
concerning. Oh, there we go.
Oh.
I think that that's probably going to be it. Ba-boom.
And
GG. Last battle at Monster Mountain.
I will give my verdict on this game. It feels like one of those games that gets tossed into a randomizer when you have to play like 3 different games. Because it's like straightforward enough and you just can continue running. But it would be funny to like be put into this game when you're standing next to a pit. Welcome to Polari. Big GG's.
Where's my push to talk button? Oh, there. Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Do you enjoy vampire platforming, or did you wish that we were playing as Frankenstein's monster?
Well, as far as I know, there's no difference. So, seems alright, I guess.
Did you enjoy the game?
I mean, it's hard to evaluate in a race context because you get stressed out about things and so on. It's like the two things that tripped me up was the difficulty progression. In the first 3 stages or so, I got used to just prioritizing like progress, like just ignore things, run through things. It's there's no difficulty, and then it spiked up pretty quickly around stage 4, and it took me a while to adjust. Then there were there was a stage 3 boss where I got a surprise game over because in this game turns out that if you're on P1, that means you're on your last life. Like you have 1 life, it's that one. You have 0 extra lives. So I was like, okay, I have 2 lives to work with. I should be able to bum rush this boss and use my health, and then I didn't.
You had a situation, and actually both racers did, where you guys were both really close to getting an extra life. Were you watching for the 2,000 point threshold?
Yeah, I was rambling about it, but yeah. So I don't remember being where I was at next to them, but I remember in the last stage I was close to 500 while I was still trying to just run through it. I was like, 500 is nothing, you'll get it for free before you die, but no, I'd added like 470 points or something. Yeah, and there was one point where my double jumps were getting eaten. I don't know what was up with that, and
yeah, ID noted. I think it was our theory was that you couldn't double jump when you were already falling down. So like if you do quick double jump, you're fine. But if you try and double jump and then wait until you're falling, that looked like when it was being eaten.
No, that was my theory too, but it's not true. I tested it later. You can double jump while you're falling down. But yeah, there's a limit to it. It might have been that because it's like on the lower half of your jump, you can't do it anymore. Like you can do it while you're falling down close to your apex, but
yeah, just watching your gameplay, it looks without being able to see the button presses, it looks not necessarily consistent, which makes sense. You lost 2 lives to these pits that Quartz is now standing next to, and I think hopefully not going to forfeit. I'd like to see them continue because they're getting close to the finish.
yeah. Also in stage 4, I got a couple of gamers. There was one nasty pit where there's like a unbroken horizontal black line that looks like it's a continuous platform, but it's not.
Yeah. Q Quartz has mentioned the exact same thing in race chat here.
Yeah, it does look like grass. I guess those are just like background trees.
Oh, that's a different spot, but yeah, there were a few where it was really hard to tell if something was a platform or not. Like there were some background elements in the beginning of 3, was it? Where it was a downward slope. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna dodge those things by jumping up onto that ledge there, and no, it's just background. But yeah, it's hard to evaluate the game in this condition because I just get frustrated with things when things go unexpected. Like first stages were easy, and then when it was hard, it was. There were a couple of frustrating gamers before I adjusted and started taking it slower and more safely again.
Yeah, I think you did well to adjust. It was like the blue guys who were just standing on the pillars, and they took 3 hits, and one of them very rudely just pushed you off. And I think that's when you made an adjustment, and I think it was a really healthy adjustment. Unfortunately, we just saw the forfeit there from Quartz, but given that the game is good but a little bit frustrating, I think it makes sense. Unfortunately, this was Losers 2, which means we're no longer to see Quartz racing in the tournament. I do think they're probably going to be joining more races, though. They seem to be a good new community member, and I'm excited to have them around. You're going to be moving on and into Losers 3 Polari, and I'm going to give you a bit of forewarning. Your next opponent's not going to be an easy one. It's either going to be Zex or Zhao.
Amazing. I mean,
Zex isn't losers?
No, but somebody has to lose a match between
Got
Zex
it.
and Zhao, and then as the reward for losing that already tough match, then gets to play Polari, because losers 3 is already getting quite stacked.
Yeah, I think I'm like 1-0 against Chal and 0-2 against Dex or something. But yeah, basically I try to evaluate myself based on like how I go out. Like if it's a close match where I did okay, or if it's against some very good player, so then that's fine, regardless of how far into the tournament it is. The last couple of times I went deep and got knocked out by good players later on, but if it's like cranked out first round and Zex third round, then well, that's how it goes sometimes.
I believe the first seeded person to go out, but nobody's gonna hold losing to Crankdud against you. Like, Crankdud is just a gamer. Welcome, Quartz. Welcome to, I'd say mediocre, but probably a bit unfriendly. Welcome to Nest Platforming, a MT staple. How you doing? How you feeling?
For the first time doing a platformer in NES, I think that was pretty good. Not gonna lie. Although no way of telling how I actually did, since I never actually finished. I just got outskilled.
You were not far away from the finish, actually. I was a bit sad to see you forfeit, because when you had like the pillars that like blocked your vision, the boss is not too far down the hallway from there.
That's unfortunate, but I think in the end the pit is what got to my mentality.
Yeah, you guys actually had pretty similar death spots. You were talking about in the race chat that you found a spot that looked like it was going to be solid ground and then just jumped into it. And I do believe Polari also did the same thing. The game doesn't throw that many challenges at you, so when it does throw a challenge, you both found those challenges a bit surprising, I think. Did you enjoy yourself, though?
Hell yeah.
You've, I think, played 3 MT games now. Out of your 3 games, where's Monster in your pocket?
Probably the best one.
Despite the loss, fantastic. Anything to add, Internet Dirigible GFM? Any good questions?
How was your? Pound Noob asked about your favorite game, but how was your MT? Because this was your first MT, right, Quartz?
That is correct.
So did you enjoy it? Were you expecting weirder games?
I think the beauty of joining this MT for the first time is actually going into it relatively blind. My only experience with MT was really pretty much last year when I watched the GDQ stream. At least a couple games from it, and it piqued my interest, so I'd say that it met my expectations.
This is the problem with Pumpkin Dog Extreme, is we play Pumpkin Dog Extreme in top 8.
Pumpkin Dog was a mistake. We can all readily admit it. I think it would have been a decent race, but it shouldn't have been full game. It should have been like maybe about half the length that it was. But regardless,
despite
I guess I should be glad that I
you're
didn't
still
see it.
here.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for joining. We love new people. We have a lot this year. We have like 30 new people, and it was just really exciting to see so many names that we didn't recognize. And winning, 25% of people go 0-2 or go 0-2, and you did not. You are at least in the upper 25th percentile, and gave Polari a pretty good show. Actually, was on the last stage, weren't too far behind. So
I won a singular game.
Yeah, I know you've had a made-up rivalry that, I mean, if you stick around with the community long enough, you'll get real rivalries with Boa Mako. Unfortunately, you guys are not going to meet in losers finals as planned, but I do hope that you stick around and do more races like you've been doing. Feel free to join anybody else's races, and this is true to anybody in chat who's checking in, going, oh, I wish I could join the tournament, but the tournament's already started, so I guess I can't play games. Nope, you can still play games. You can come. The fastest racer in this game was actually a new player who we're very excited about. Timo Star just edged out Polari by a few seconds, and the sort of practice that you get and the enjoyment you get from playing a game that's been handed to you is really enjoying. I think people should do it.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us, both of you. We have a match in an hour. It's kind of weird. We have a... Well, here, let me just pull this up here. Match in an hour, and then an hour after that, we have 4 matches in the same time slot. So, I'm not sure what we're gonna do about that.
Oni versus Dradonic Dawn is a brutal winners 3 too. Goodness. A lot of those matches are.
Yeah, we got
a
Captain
lot of
Drake
good
coming
players.
up. We got a lot of big Jackasans and Adressadini, and that's happening in an hour. Maybe we can convince some of these people to go early. We don't have the 4-player.
Brother awake. I'll race him. I'll fight him right now.
You got my brother in the bracket, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, if he's sitting next to you, I'll take him. Let's go.
No, he's not. He's at home now. He's in a different state.
Oh yeah, we said that we couldn't do Saturday. We were scheduled for Wednesday. People were excited, but the tournament in general is actually. I'll give you the first compliment ID. It's been going smoothly. People have been getting their matches scheduled. We haven't seen many reschedules, and even with people deadlines coming up, they seem to be on it. So thank you to everybody.
Yeah, we've only got 2 matches past the deadline right now, and we're waiting on word from them. Well, 3, but one of them is planned. So you know, as long as you plan what you are working on, that's fine. If Soapy Gnome sees this stream, talk to us. I don't know where you at. But, yeah, I'm not sure what we would do.
I will take that cue to remind everyone that Losers 3 deadline is this Friday. So there is still a lot of time, so try to schedule your match so we know that the tournament will continue to run smoothly, please.
Yeah, we've got... Our biggest deadline with the most matches just happened on Friday, and then Losers 2, the deadline is this coming Friday, January 13th, about a week from now, and then it slows down a little bit. We've got 2 weeks in Losers after that, and then Winners is a week after that, but there's a lot fewer matches in there because of just so many people go down to the Losers bracket, so... these are really the weeks that people gotta hustle when it comes to number of matches.
Honestly, the further you get into the bracket, the further ahead of the schedule you want to be, because there's a bunch of sneaky Europeans or particularly Germans running about who are going to be in the top 32, top 16, and if you're an
Yeah,
American or vice versa, you're only.
We've got Maurice in the
I do know
losers bracket.
Maurice's
It's a scary
schedule
place.
is sleep schedule is terrible, but you're gonna probably want to have some weekends available, so get on it. Do you have any podcasts set up, ID, or are we?
I don't have any
moment?
downloaded, no. So I would have to waste an hour. I'm not sure I'm capable. But I wonder if we could try and get in contact with some of these 4 people that are all scheduled for the same time, and maybe get some of them to play now or something. Let me see who it is.
Well, Boney's easy to yell at, but
That would be the best thing to do, considering the schedule, but also we could try to have a reject race to fill up the hour. But yeah, it would be better to have one of those races at 3 p.m. to go at another
if people are
time.
interested in reject, as long as we get at least 2 people, I'd be down to do that. I could pick one out from the testing sheet here. Who's gonna race? Type in chat if you would race a reject race.
the fact that Timo Star has a sauna makes me
Jealous.
one wonder where they're located, because I think that sounds very Scandinavian, but 2 makes me jealous.
Alright, Moo wears down. Well, why don't you ping Reject Race and give game and see who shows up. I'll start the race.
If you try to skill for a web game, I could join up because I'm on Linux. Otherwise, I could reboot and go to Windows to run from there.
Gamer Start, the idea that you have a sauna as part of your apartment building. I mean, my apartment complex has a hot tub, but I don't have a whole room just for sitting in. Finland's ridiculous. I guess you're in Finland, you kind of
Hey,
need it, but...
Polari's in the call. You better be careful.
What?
What?
Like, he's not saying anything wrong. Like,
No,
of course we have saunas here.
you said it was ridiculous. No, I know.
Finland is cold and they need to be warmer. That's reasonable. One thing that's interesting, I don't think has been stated much. We've had a huge influx of Spanish-speaking and like South American racers this particular MT. It's always interesting to see the Twitch chat just switch into Spanish mode when they're supporting certain
Absolutely.
racers.
We're generally pretty international. I don't think we have anyone through any Asian countries, as far as I know, but we're hitting most of the other continents.
Wasn't one of the races earlier today from someone in JST, so in Japanese time?
Oh,
You got to be careful because sometimes it's the Australians and the New Zealand folk who are sneaking in. But I know there might be like someone from like Singapore. I don't think we have any Japans, but we might.
yeah, less English speaking there, but we yeah. I mean, one thing, if you're watching this stream and want to just like do an MT in your own language, we've talked about people doing that before. That's totally reasonable. Take our pace bins of games, tell us about it so we can watch, but that's always seemed like a reasonable thing somebody might want to do.
Yeah, have them play Firemen and Beyblades.
Yeah, exactly.
Fireman wasn't even a reject, by the way. I went into the chat and like derived it for showing up yet again because it's like our favorite game to put into MT.
It was
Nope,
actually
somebody
subbed
else-
this year. I wouldn't have
Yeah,
put
it was,
back in.
just subbed. It's great. I love that game.
Yeah, so this year the backup pool doesn't have a bunch of the same games just because we kind of already did that. And like last year we had all the most common games in the backup and that was how it was created. So I was trying to not put all those exact same ones because a lot of them just kind of got redrawn forever
Yeah.
and then never got played.
The I like the rule of like you're allowed to submit something that's been in last year. It's fine. I think that makes people feel better about submitting their favorite games. But if backup could avoid having the same game being submitted
Yeah,
2 years
yeah.
in a row, that makes.
Well,
that
it's so
makes
what they
sense.
used to do, which I was somewhat tempted to do, because we still could, and we have a lot of duplicates, is they would just put in what people subbed, even if it was the same. So at one point they played like Karnov for the NES like 3 or 4 times in MT, which was fantastic.
How many times? I think it's one of the few open rejects that hasn't actually been rejected. How many times did you guys reject Deepest Sword? 3 times, 4 times?
Yeah, quite a bit. Last year twice, and then this year I think like 2 or 3 times again. So-
I'm sorry.
2.
I think I subbed it last time.
I subbed it when it was new and I had like a 15 minutes estimate. Like, I still think it would have been fine for a first round draw
yeah.
before we raised the minimum length, or it could have gone into a best 2 out of 3 short games. But yeah, it's borderline at best.
In general, older MT matches are a little shorter, and we've had quite a few older ones from the backup, but we haven't had anything go under 15 yet this year. And we've only had 1 game go to time, I think. But I think in that race, actually, there was a
Yeah,
finish on both sides. So we haven't
it
had
was
any games
finished-
go to time, I don't think.
Yeah, if you're going by like soccer rules, it would have been 90 minutes on the clock. But it was over 90 minutes with the finish, and everybody went, "Yep, you get the gold star. Congratulations."
Yeah, because it was like 90:01 or something, right? Didn't he finish
exactly.
like right at the mark? Yeah.
Yeah, in stoppage time. The refs gotta give it. With this World Cup that they just had, there was like 10 minutes of stoppage time every game. So we can go past 90 if I think he would have been rewarded the win anyways, because he was at final boss, about to knock it at 90 minutes if the mod had to make a choice. But okay,
Yes.
our
So-
chat is just talking about saunas and makes me want to. If this is gonna be down for 40 minutes, I might just go jump in a hot tub. Or
No, we're doing a reject race. But you certainly
what-
can.
What's the race? I'm excited. I like the way that TPC does them, where you give the descriptions of the misery that's ahead of you, and then
No,
everybody jumps.
I should. I
jumps on
saw
it.
this one though and was too excited to see it raced.
Were you around during Reject Tournament, Pound Noob?
Probably in the Twitch chat, but not necessarily in the Discord. So
Okay, because I believe we started doing it like that in that tournament. Like the racers would actually, I believe, get 5 games and then they would go rejecting. Like one player would reject the first one, then the other would reject the 50, then it would the fourth and then all the third, and then they would play the second one. But they would take turns rejecting one to pick which game was getting raced, something like that.
Yeah, and I never liked any of this. It's all so lame. Like you get to like avoid the worst pitfalls, and you have some idea what to expect. Like the correct way to do it is that somebody gives you a reject game, and then you go play. That's it.
We've had 2 reject tournaments. You know, there never will be a third one, obviously. But we've got quite a few built up now. I know, having been testing last year and this year. There's a lot of good ones that are just on the edge, and then every once in a while you get stuff that's just really out of left field, and so we save those for finals or whatever. Because it's just kind of wacky. I loved the 2 levels of Mario that we played. That was really fun.
without jumping, or
He
something
was
else
supposed to
silly?
not run, but I mean, it was Super Mario Land, so it hardly makes a difference just because of the way that game works. And for some reason, the goal was 1-1 and 1-2, and Saiho went into the top exit in Super Mario Land, which gives you a little bonus game for extra lives. So that was what sealed their fate in their 2-minute race of Mario.
Appreciated the concept of Games Giving being a discount reject tournament, where we saw something like Pac-Man Adventures 2, which is just the most unraceable.
Yeah, it was kind of a discount Troopa, which is where you literally just pull a random game by some method, and then you have to play it.
Yeah, just
Guess at least
covering
someone was deciding.
all our bases. I'm curious what Goni's up to with bingos and Mystery Fun Fest, but it can also be used as a tool for torture. Speaking about torture, these new players need to start playing Adventure Ball. I say new players, I haven't played it, but they were excited about it. I don't think it ever happened.
Yeah, I think maybe some people did play it. It's man, Adventure Ball. You can't even say it in the chat. It's banned.
Well, you can say Adventure Space Ball.
Right, but
if
that's
you
not the
spe-
name of
if
the
you-
game,
if you
so
s-
that's fine.
If you spell it correctly with correct capitalization, it will reject it. What a good game.
And GFM has been making stuff happen here, doing cropping for me and stuff. Maybe not cropping, but all the rest of the stuff.
I was looking at the rest, I can start cropping player 1 now.
So we've got a game, we've got a reject game. It should be fun. It's a console we don't see a whole lot, but does have viable games. The biggest issue with it is that you end up getting a lot of tutorials on this console.
I thought you were going to say the download size and the fact that games usually need a controller.
It's true, although a lot of people have controllers, but it's, yeah, it will get redrawn sometimes because it's a GameCube game. I'll reveal it's pretty impossible to play GameCube games without a controller most of the time.
There's also, like, we've raced Super Mario Sunshine way back in the day, and if you didn't have a controller with a trigger for one of the shoulder buttons, you also had a lot of troubles with that.
Oh yeah, in this game I don't think that matters, but I don't fully remember. I did play it.
Do we know the reject reason?
The reject reason is like enemy RNG. Like it's
Oh,
completely your success is completely determined by what the enemies choose to do. And
every
they can
time
kind of
that
choose a lot of stuff.
I get grumpy about a reject because it's usually the things I do well in. Is that enemy RNG or puzzle RNG, where I'm like, Tetris isn't RNG. The line piece not coming is not my fault, or your fault, or the game's fault. It's just the way it is.
It's RNG. You're describing RNG.
Just set up to not die while the line piece doesn't come for 30 rounds. Come on.
Yeah, at high levels it's not, but at our level where we're just kind of trying to get by, it's important what comes in.
Oh no, I'm not even really disagreeing. It's just when a race is long enough, I feel like the RNG is expected to be fairly normalized.
This one you're basically like playing sports with other cars, and sometimes they're really aggressive and it makes it so you lose, and sometimes they aren't and it makes it so you don't.
I trust on this just based on the way it's been described, because racing games should not have as much RNG as being alluded to.
So I noticed Quartz and Polari are still here. Feel free to stay. Feel free to leave. No pressure.
I was just looking for a moment to say that I actually have other things I need to go do, so you guys enjoy the rejected GameCube racing.
All right. Goodbye. Quartz may not even know that they're still here.
Oh, I know I'm still here. For the purpose of experimentation, I'm just gonna see how long I can stay in here.
Well,
What's your,
I found you out. I found you out, friend.
What's your icon character, Quartz?
It's football. I checked that this time.
Okay, I'm gonna ask again. What's your anime character? What's Futao or?
It's a Genshin. It's a character from Genshin Impact.
There you go.
Funeral parlor owner.
Okay, Genshin Impact has slightly wider lore than I thought. I didn't realize there was a funeral parlor or someone who would need to own it. GameCube racing games. There's a lot of good GameCube racing games that are kind of garbage. With back in the day, we would do in-person mystery tournament-like things, and my friend just has a huge collection. And for racing games, I think we did a final 3 of Diddy Kong Racing, Crazy Frog, and the Eminem Racing game.
Oh,
One of
yeah.
those games is good, and one of those games is the worst game I've ever played. And then you also have Crazy Frog, which is the game I actually want to talk about.
The Crazy Frog game is the one on GBA is horrible. I don't know which console you're talking about, but the Crazy Frog racing game on GBA is just awful.
So the one I'm thinking of, I think was GameCube, and it had like F-Zero like mechanics, but it was just a bit slow. To like really be called an F1 or F-Zero game. But it turns out when you have to listen to Axel F and the Crazy Frog soundtrack while racing, it doesn't really matter. You're just gonna get tilted. The race is gonna become more difficult, just because we're blasting the music. Eminem Racing, as in Eminem Candy, not Eminem. I mean, 8 Mile would be like a fantastic name for a racing game, but I don't think a good theme for a racing game.
So there is a game that features Eminem. There's a music making game on the GBA, and there's this weird remix of My Name Is that comes like pre-loaded in it. It sounds really bad, but it is real. That's the only Eminem video game connection that I know.
I think I've played some Eminem in DJ Hero.
That makes sense that there would be some reference to Eminem there.
I think DJ Hero might be like the game I played the most of a demo in a store of. I think I went back and played it 3 times because I was like absolutely no way I was ever going to buy the paraphernalia, like the plastic that needs it. But I do actually really enjoy that game. And Best Buy doesn't care. Best Buy lets you walk in and play their games. An official Quake mod for Eminem. Thor, can you please elaborate?
Like commissioned by him or about him?
Yeah, does it just change your character to Eminem? Because I don't think you see your character in Quake. I don't think they have mirror technology. Or you just end up shooting Eminem, which is a bit sad.